VCR Redux will begin in T-5 minutes.
What the fart is VCR Redux?
It's the show where we take movies from the VCR era and bring them back to today.
Well, how do we do that?
Well, we start by talking about a VHS classic, and usually you'll say something like,
I haven't been this uncomfortable since I watched Meatballs 4, Meatballs to the Rescue with my parents. Oh yeah, or you'll say something stupid like,
I wish we lived in a world where the Garbage Pail Kids made as many movies as the Muppets.
but I know you'll always see it through with a positive attitude.
I hate this movie, I hate being here, I hate all of this. Oh, Jamie Kennedy. Oh, well, shit. Well, let's go for this.
He was in Son of Mask. This is genius.
I am not a gamer. I'd rather read books. I'm just
Ian's like the old lady that's like, I got video game monsters, I got toy monsters in here.
As long as we respect the passion and the artistry that went into these films.
You know, obviously they took this movie, it's 93, right? You're like, what do you want to see in your Mario movie? And they're like, oh, we want it to be grim, we want a lot of death, we want tits and ass.
Oh, and then we start the pitch ideas with modern day sequels like
Weekend at Bernie's 3, Cocaine Mountain.
Sometimes we take it kind of seriously.
I'll watch a Paul Verhoeven alien movie.
oh my gosh, that alien will have more vaginas than anything you've ever seen in your life. Sometimes this Hawaiian shirted fool will pitch something stupid like,
I would take out the virtual reality stuff and just have it be about Jeff Fahey mowing the lawn.
Sometimes the best pitches come from the live chat.
Alex Bonafonte also pitches Grand Theft Starfighter Vice Galaxy.
wait, I thought I had the best pitches.
And what happens at the end of the movie? The ultimate fart. The fart that the warmth goes like all the way down to your socks.
The only rules are, there are no rules. Sometimes we cross over franchises.
Only the truck from Tango and Cash can kill Christine.
And sometimes we travel back in time.
Like 1995 is missing a good Universal Soldier sequel.
But you never know what we're gonna pitch next.
What do you want? Do you want Daniel Stern behind like a muzzled mask? Like,
We all know it should be Pesci behind the mask, and like underneath the mask, you should hear him going like fritter, 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 fritter.
you are so proud of yourself for that one. I can't stand you.
I would also love to see a Charles Bronson version of It's a Wonderful Life.
What?
Direct to DVD.
If you made a shot-for-shot remake of Scarface with Goofy as Al Pacino, it would be amazing.
Oh my God.
Dorsey, you need me to be the bad guy.
It's like the worst 1987 Disney movie Disney's ever made. Schlongo, directed by Jim Wynorski.
Like, I would watch a whole bowl of that.
Do the John Holmes story. Add a comedy spin to it.
Wow, the Wonderland murders are so funny.
I'd watch it on my mobile.
Something happens and he goes into a coma. He gets like, hit by a car or something. I know this is dark, but like, bear with me. He's got to go on.
Did you just go like Hard to Kill with Ferris Bueller?
I'd watch it on my iPad.
If you want to just like throw in the kitchen sink, it all works. Like Alien versus Predator versus RoboCop, like that works. Alien versus Predator versus Terminator, that works.
Alien versus Predator versus Ernest, that works.
That works.
I respect everything you just said. I need David Silver and Terry Silver and the Sloan family all learning the Quicksilver. But they're doing it in Breakin' 3 Hydraulic Boogaloo. And it's underwater. It's going to be incredible. Eat your fucking shit out, James Cameron. I got the underwater movie you can't touch.
That was the most disgusting thing I've ever heard in my life.
Mr. Toxie goes to Washington.
My ass would be in the theater tomorrow.
If Harley Quinn gets 7 movies, then Tank Girl should get at least 70.
That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard of in my life.
I mean, why should we even bother with Look Who's Talking when Air Bud is soaring to new highs?
All I know is I want Danny McBride.
I'd want him doing anything other than writing Halloween movies, honestly. Anything that keeps him away from that fucking job, I'm for it.
Just let him talk out of his butt. I don't care how he does it.
I'd rather not.
Austin Powers doing the Macarena.
That would be the opening credits. Come on.
But we have not yet had Die Hard on a half pipe. What if John McClane Jr. was a pro skateboarder and also an avid machine gun enthusiast? Skate or Die Hard.
What up, virtual people? Welcome to the 153rd episode of VCR Redux. We take your favorite franchises out of the analog era and bring them back to 2024. I'm your host, pop culture punk Chris Stiles, joined by this week's co-host with the most. Oh, Mickey, you're so fine. Mac Daddy Mickey Torres is back on the show.
What's
and
up,
easy,
everyone?
ladies.
Good
He's
to be back.
McMarried.
Yeah.
Take it easy.
Send his congrats. Send your congrats in the live chat, folks. And we have two radical guests on the show tonight. First up, Crash Romeo, Honey Red, and Night Lover guitarist Steven Zangief Anderson is back on the show.
Hello, hello. Happy to be back. Thank you.
Thank you. And rounding out this righteous crew and fast on his way to VCR veteran status, he's a location scout who's worked on Law & Order, Dead Ringers, and Wu-Tang and American Saga. Michael Ricci is back on the show.
Viva Nepal, everybody. Viva Nepal.
There you go. There you go.
Yes,
well
coming
said.
out of the gate swinging. I love this, man.
Gotta do it.
We are
Fred.
here.
He's so hot right now.
We are here today to Charles dance with a stop motion Pepsi can, to ask for the Yanti dagger, and to make big trouble for Eddie Murphy, because this world needs the Golden Child too, and we're here to bring it to you. But before we can talk about Eddie's girlfriend who likes to karate all the time, we got a dish on how the Golden Child came into our lives and what we love about it. And of course that goes double for you at home and everyone watching the live chat. Was it Love at First Laserdisc? Vital VHS? Hit us up in the chat and let us know how the Golden Child came into your lives. So, Michael, when did you first get Golden Childed?
Well, I mean, I
Gross.
was a child, like an infant when it came out. So maybe then. I wouldn't remember that. I'm being 3 years old. But I would say like 10 years after it came out or so, like early 90s, definitely VHS, definitely a copy sitting next to either 48 Hours or Beverly Hills Cop on that
The
big
beautiful
VHS wall
Beautiful.
I talked about in my grandfather's finished basement, and loved it. You know, like just it was just funny and stupid and made. It's like it's just like another dumb fantasy thing that they jabbed a guy into, and it was great. You know.
It's funny bringing up 48 Hours, like that takes me back to just like a different time of life, known as the 80s, and I love it fondly. And I was thinking about this a lot this week, about this movie, because I love this movie, and I was thinking like, man, it's the Eddie Murphy 80s run is so good. But it's not even just that. It's really like the Eddie Murphy Paramount years, which is from like 82 to like 94, I think. And it was literally like, I think almost everything he did was at Paramount. Like those.
That's the only reason
between
this
those
movie
years.
exists is because of that big deal, and they put him in this because this was a Mel Gibson movie. That's what this movie was. And
This is supposed to be a Mel Gibson movie?
this was a Mel Gibson movie, like well documented. Yeah, didn't know that. Looked that up this week. A couple of these facts, looked that up this week. And then I can't believe you hit the Pepsi can, Chris. Industrial Light Magic. This is the test run for some shit for Roger Rabbit. And that's what all this was with the demon and all that shit. And so for me, you're right. Definitely the Eddie Murphy run. Definitely that. He's hot. Put him in movies. Just like John Cena right now is in every goddamn thing. And
Well,
but
it's
without
different,
this movie, so many other movies don't exist. Like Roger Rabbit isn't quite what it is, and other Eddie movies aren't what they are because he doesn't get the confidence to carry a movie. Because he carries this movie. The movie makes no sense a little bit. He's just kind of walking through it, making jokes. It's kind of awesome.
It's the height of you feel like
You're
get the
too
sense that
kind.
This movie really feels like they barely had a script, and like Eddie Murphy showed up in like the clothes he was wearing at the time, like in 1986.
Yeah, the hat. I'm trying to do the
hat.
hat. I'm trying to do the hat.
The hat became kind of iconic, and he only wears it in this
Perfect.
one fucking
Spot on,
movie,
yeah.
and he doesn't even even wear it for the whole movie. It's
But
just
Chris,
this little thing.
He kind of
But
started
the
biting
poster's
his
in
own.
it. He's on.
He
he's
kind
in
of
it
started
in the
biting
poster.
his own
the
tail.
poster.
He when he does Coming to America, he makes fun of this movie. He wears a different hat in Coming to America. You know what I mean? Like he
True.
was sort of like that snake that eats its own tail eventually, a little bit.
But
You
he
get
was
so
so
high
good at
you
it.
burn
I mean,
out,
his
right?
run. I love these SNL stars in their runs. Like we were talking about the Chevy Chase run.
Yep.
The Bill Murray run. The
Dan
Farley run, which
Aykroyd
is obviously
run?
short lived. Aykroyd had a great run. You know, and even just film runs in general, like I often talk about Rob Reiner's run of like directing hits, hit after hit after hit after hit. But yeah, just I don't know, the Eddie Murphy run is like unrivaled. Even the Jim Carrey run, that kind of like it starts stronger than anyone's, but it runs out of gas pretty quickly. Like I was comparing this to like Liar Liar, and I was saying like this is like a Liar Liar for Eddie Murphy almost, where it's just like this not much movie, but I'm gonna inject all my movie stardom into it, and I'm gonna make a fucking hit.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
I don't know,
force a
Chris. I
hit.
mean, you might have hit something right there. On one level, Golden Child and Liar Liar are both high concept comedies. And Liar Liar is
they're both
bigger,
movies that shouldn't have
badasser a
been
little bit.
hits. They're both movies that shouldn't have been hits, but their star put them over the top.
Yeah, totally. Jim Carrey does everything. Yeah.
In that movie, Jim Carrey is Jim carrying the hardest Jim Carrey. And in this movie, Eddie Murphy is Eddie Murphying the fuck out of this movie, dude. Like you're right. He carries. Well, you said he carries
it's Eddie Murphy's stand-up in a movie.
Right.
But like, you know, basically you got like with a concept. You got Eddie Murphy stand-up with a concept.
It wasn't supposed to be like Chris, like you were saying, no script. There was a script. It's a book. And that's what they did. But then they tested it and they got rid of the entire composition, the score, and I think like one song survives. I mean, Rat is on the soundtrack, so I know Steve's into it, you know?
Fuck yeah.
So the score that we hear, that's a redone.
Steve's into it.
Yeah.
That's a redone score?
Yeah,
Yes.
so they killed that, and then they said, okay, these tests aren't, we're Paramount. You know, I'm doing Drunk History Paramount. Like, I'm Paramount.
Right,
And this is, we're really leaning into that. We see Beverly Hills Cop made money, and we are really trying to focus on that these audiences want to see Beverly Hills Cop. They didn't, but that's what Paramount did. So they killed the whole composition. They brought in a poppier, zanier thing, just like Beverly Hills Cop, you know?
Very Faltermeyer sounding. Yeah.
And then they did a second unit in LA, and they re-recorded stuff with Eddie just spitting jokes. And so at times in this movie, it's just a cutaway and he's just delivering a joke.
So Michael, you seem
that's
to
for the whole. Yeah.
You seem to know your shit here. Tell me if this is true, because this is the little bit of research I did for this or whatever. So initially, from what I heard, and this could just be fucking YouTube nonsense or whatever,
Dial it in.
John Carpenter was brought on initially, to direct this. And then what happened was they couldn't see eye to eye. He went over to Fox and wound up doing Big Trouble, and this was a race between those two.
Exactly. Big Trouble in Little China, and took 3 people from this movie with the names Wong and Twang.
Right.
Yeah. James Hong and Victor Wong.
Oh, some of the best parts of this movie is Victor Wong. I mean, Tremors.
Oh yeah.
Come on, Tremors.
Oh,
you know who he is. Come on. And he's
Dude,
wiping his booger.
when I was
It's
a
the
little
dumbest
kid.
thing.
When I was a little kid and he would say like "eat shit, Turtelstein," like I would just fucking die laughing. Like the way he insults Eddie in this movie is so good because you never like it became such a key ingredient in these Eddie Paramount hits like of the time. You needed that Bronson Pinchot character. You needed that guy who's like
a sidekick.
Yeah, you need this guy who is so out there that he makes Eddie seem like the straight man.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
the funniest guy on earth.
I mean, we
And
talked
he's seen,
about
you know.
his newest movie, and in the new Beverly Hills Cop, and where he's really leaning hard into like putting race on people and that line, and that was always his stand up, and he set a precedent. Richard Pryor came before him, and then Dave Chappelle has come since. Like, there's a long line of that, and like he always needed those people to stir him up, to get him going, like just like Lethal Weapon would do, and any other buddy comedy. He just never had the direct other buddy, except for 48 Hours with Nick Nolte, I guess is what we were talking about.
Yeah, that's true.
And
Trading Spaces,
and
oh yeah,
places.
And of course,
Dan Aykroyd.
another 48 Hours, which is one of the weirdest, probably the weirdest one of that entire
Another
run for
48
me. For a lot of
Hours,
people, for a lot of people, it would be Distinguished Gentleman. But
I love
no,
Distinguished
for me,
Gentlemen.
Yeah,
I love both those movies, but I just think
I love
another
Holy
48
Man.
Hours is weirder.
we are really loving Eddie. What's the worst one then from him? Like
Metro, maybe.
no, what about
Vampire in Brooklyn.
Nash.
Vampire in Brooklyn.
That's what I was gonna say.
No, that's not the worst.
I like
one.
Vampire in Brooklyn.
What about some of the new ones? Candy Cane Lane and
That was
those don't
awful.
count. That's
What do you mean that doesn't count?
That's Eddie 2.0. That's the new Eddie. That's
Doesn't
the whole
count.
once
It's
he made
canon.
like Nutty.
Come on.
But once he made Nutty Professor, like there was like, all right, everything from here on forth is gonna be Daddy Day Camp, Haunted Mansion, Pluto Nash, the
Pluto
raunchiest you're
Nash.
ever gonna
Pluto Nash
get.
is the worst.
Pluto Nash is the
The
worst.
raunchiest you're ever
That's
gonna
the
get
worst.
is
No,
the raunchiest
Norbert
you'll ever get out
might
of
be the
Later
worst.
Eddie. Is
No,
Showtime
Norbert's not so
with
bad.
Robert De
Oh,
Niro.
It's really
No, I like
I totally
Norbert.
forgot. Who directed this movie? I totally forgot.
Oh, Michael Ritchie.
Oh,
who did a lot of good
Yes,
shit. And
No, he did.
honestly, it kind of sucks
He
because
did,
like
yeah.
he did not do this well. I like this movie. Let me say this. Let me preface this with saying
It's
that
fine. I feel like he
enjoyed
directed this
movie.
to not get fired.
yeah.
The
not
direct,
get
the
fired.
yeah, this is not directed well. This is not scripted well. This is not shot well in any means or whatever. It doesn't look great. Some of the effects look really great. Like I love some of the stuff, but like for the most part.
And Steve, if Ian was here, he'd be agreeing with you, and he'd want to talk about The Couch Trip, another movie that Michael Ritchie directed. Not me.
I'm sure he would.
That's what he
absolutely
would.
He would. You're so right.
You'd
yeah.
want to talk about whatever
Oh my
movie
God.
the rest of us haven't fucking seen.
I would want to talk about
Yeah.
Bad News Bears, maybe Fletch. Obviously, we all
Sure.
said we
Movies
cool
that
on
people have
Chevy.
heard of. Yeah.
And
Bad
then
News
he
Bears
would work
would be,
again. He would work again with
Bad
Eddie
News
on
Bears is
Bowfinger.
awesome.
Yeah.
They did Bowfinger.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah.
Bad
Bowfinger
News
was
Bears would
horrible
be
too.
That's
Bad News
another
Bears is
bad
an
one.
interesting one we should do on VCR at some point. So before I do want to get to the chat soon. Before I do Mickey, Steve, do you guys remember the first time you saw Golden Child?
When did this come out? What year?
86.
December.
This was the race,
I was
between this
three-
and Big
I was
Trouble.
3 as well.
This is Big Trouble. Yeah.
This it must have been in the like you said, same deal as Mike. I'm sure, like early '90s.
10 years later, yeah.
VHS. Yeah.
You wanted the
Okay.
John Carpenter version. That's what you wanted. You're like John Carpenter. Escape from the Golden Child.
So bad, so badly. You have no idea. Big
Hmm.
Trouble is one of my favorite movies of all time.
You got that
I'll
one
tell you
instead.
what.
That one's
I
not,
know.
and that one's
For-
Chinese
for-
instead of Buddhist.
Right.
If we're gonna get one movie with Carpenter directing an SNL star, I wish it was The Golden Child and not Memoirs of a Fucking Invisible Man. Because
yeah.
Jesus, goddamn.
What are you talking
Christ,
about,
that
Chris?
movie.
We all want to make Chevy Chase invisible. That would be great.
Oh my God! I'll tell you what.
Good point.
Point taken there because I could definitely use Chevy being invisible.
Completely invisible. Well, you know,
right before he decided to make Cops and Robertsons. From then on forth, if he would have been invisible,
Mike
that would've been-
Ritchie directed that movie. How can you?
Yeah.
Oh fuck, that's right. Jesus, I'm
Jesus
sorry,
Christ,
my
you
Full
just walk right
circle.
into walls sometimes.
Full
I
circle.
really do. I really do. What in the Jack Palance is going on? Mickey, what was this a Mick date? When did you first get Golden?
No, this is HBO. I remember watching this like on like heavy
Nice.
rotation on HBO because I always
can see
loved
that.
like, and I always came in at the different like during the test when he's doing the test,
Filling the
want
water.
the knife and everything.
Oh, that's the best.
I-
Yeah.
I almost seemed to always come in that part or whatever like that, and then I would have to like just wait for it to run again so I could watch
Yep.
it all.
Yeah.
My dear brother Noomsy. There was so many like one-liners in that, and there was so many. And
I should be purged.
Charlotte Lewis too. Oh, huge crush on her.
Really?
She
That's
was
the girl in this?
like
Did
she
you
was
just get married?
the girl.
Oh, yeah.
She was good in
Well,
this.
she never did
was-
anything, man. What happened? I never saw her in anything
She
else.
did a
Yeah,
lot of
that's
other.
weird.
She did all that other.
She did a
things,
lot of other like
Embrace the
direct to
Vampire.
TV shit. Yeah.
No, she did Embrace of the Vampire. She did some other things.
Yeah,
you know.
Embrace of the yeah.
Yeah,
The only
Embrace the
thing-
Vampire. Yeah,
did a
that
lot of
was
TV
definitely
shows,
direct to
too.
TV, yeah.
The only thing really weird with this movie and this cast is the child and what they did there. That's weird.
Oh, it's a
Which is
girl.
a
Yeah, it's a
girl.
girl with a shaved
But
head.
in the
yeah.
credits, her name is like Jasmine, and they did like JL or something, so people
Oh,
couldn't
really?
Oh,
put
wow.
it whatever. And I feel like you try to do that now, and like that ain't gonna happen. No. And they
Well,
did
maybe it
some
was
kinda
maybe it was
worldwide
progressive.
search
Maybe
for this kid. I was not that impressed. It was just a kid with their head shaved. Like, what was the thing?
I don't know. Honestly, I think the kid's great. I maybe because I've been watching the movie since I was too young, but I'll get to that in a sec. I do want to get to the live chat first, though. I see in the live chat, Cobra Kai Never Dies, Whiskey 4-1, Caitlin Allman, America's Next Top Model, Dustin Nino from Retro Fiend Radio, Makers the finest canon and martial arts docs around. Gold's Code, Sean Gold himself, Brian Sanchez, and Matt Sharp in the chat. Power Graphics, thank you, Mash. Another Mash of Genius in the chat. I see some I got the knife, and I just butchered that. I'm sorry. Kyle 2.0 says the Golden Child came into my life tonight via this show.
Okay.
So Gold's Code says,
You're
Mickey,
welcome.
Mickey. No, Ian, we've done it. Krollborn was one pitch too many for Ian.
We've
Oh, he
done
slayed
it.
the beast
Poor
last
Ian.
week with Kroll. Oh my
Born
God.
may have
Poor
broken the
Ian,
man.
yeah.
I don't know.
We
We'll
sent
find
Ian
out
into a
next week.
spiral, and he's still
You guys
recovering.
were joking about getting crawled, and look at what happens. Someone puts an eye out. You know?
Right.
Right after the Kroll episode, Captain Kyle was like,
Yeah.
"All right, he's gotta go." Click. Hangs up the
Eddie
phone.
Murphy is here to save us. He has a new movie for you, and we're talking about one of his better movies, I think.
I think so.
Oh man! Some congrats for Mickey in the chat. I preferred Beverly Hills Cop to the Golden Child in the chat. All those. Here's interesting. Whiskey 41, the great Alex Bonafonte says, I saw Golden Child in the theater on A Street between the Palmetto and the FIU when I was 5. Also saw The Last Dragon and that awful Cosby superhero movie there, Leonard Part 6. Oh,
Holy
Leonard
shit.
Thank
Part
you
6,
for bringing
holy
that in,
cow.
because we can't do that one. Yeah.
No,
Wow,
no.
we are,
I keep pitching Ghost Dad, but nobody else.
No, we can talk about it though, Steve. I like Ghost Dad. I watched Ghost Dad at
We'll
an
talk about
it off
after
camera.
school event. That's how
I do want to say, I just, one thing I said, there is a pitch in the chat and we'll get to that later, but one last thing in the chat, I see Whiskey 41 says, Angie Saunders will not be with us tonight due to a hurricane hitting Texas. So, much love and prayers for the whole Saunders family, like Angie and Mike and John, the kids and everything. So they all watch the show a lot. They've been huge supporters. So we hope they're all safe and can tune in live or later next week or whatever.
Sure.
But lots of love and hugs, and hope you guys are all safe.
Yeah, I hope they're okay.
But anyway, getting back to the Golden Child. So this is a VHS. This is just a film that was just in my house. Like, it was watched in heavy rotation with Coming to America, with Beverly Hills Cop, with 1 and 2. 48 Hour, all the Eddie movies were just like on tap. They were in heavy rotation. And this one, it was probably honestly played just as heavily as Beverly Hills Cop. This was, I'm sure. And it's funny, you mentioned the score getting changed. Like, I think the score really does pump up the movie. And I know, Steve, you weren't that impressed with it, but like, I think it's got some memorable tones, and then it's got that very Stevie Wonder, bam, 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 bam.
I mean, listen,
that's a great hook.
I'm not against the score per se. How do I put it? The movie's a little disjointed as it goes on. It's a little fragmented. You know what I mean? And like the score,
it makes no sense.
It's that. Take the opening scene for example, or whatever. There's literally no dialogue for the first like 10 minutes of this movie, and it's just awkward, that kind of heavy score, and it just needed to kind of be. It just felt a little weird. And it's not that the score
itself. It's not the score's fault.
It's not the score's fault. It's not. I like the score or whatever.
The fact that they didn't write any dialogue in the opening scene. It's like it's just like, all right, there's just nothing here. We're just like, boom, here it is.
But you know what? This
and like
is
Charles Dance, Charles Dance does his part. The score helps.
Oh, he does his part. Yeah.
But sometimes I feel like these movies, like, if you think about it, you say like, this movie was heavy rotation, everything else like that. These were the family movies back in the 80s. Like, this was this was okay to show to a kid. There was a few parts here and there.
And the first 20 minutes, he's taking pictures of a dead girl outside that was drained of all her blood so they could feed it to a child. Yeah. And then
he's making fun of a guy for openly reading a magazine called Chunky Asses.
This is how you did it. Oh, that's a good one. Nicky makes a good point in that, like, factually, this is the first movie for Eddie Murphy that is PG-13 and not R for language. There is not language in this movie. They didn't drop in F-bombs or B-bombs.
And that's really all we care about. At the end of the day.
I mean, not in a fantasy movie where, he's going after kids. He's finding missing children. So he's just going to swear all the time? Like, no way.
No, it makes sense. It's true.
I never saw this as a fantasy movie either. I just kind of saw this as like, as an action. An action comedy.
The wizard
kind of
thing,
I agree with Mickey.
The demon that chases and
it has supernatural elements
and then explodes when stabbed.
It's
all great, but when you put Richard Pryor in Superman 3, you're no longer making a Superman movie, you're making a Richard Pryor movie. Yes. And Eddie Murphy has this kind of star power branding at this time. If you put him in a movie, you're making a fucking Eddie Murphy movie, and you get to Bet Hills Cop. That's because that's what your brain sees, whether they make it or not. And,
look at this poster. This looks like fun. This looks.
The poster's amazing.
We're hanging out.
I don't know. It's great.
We're just hanging out. He's fun to be around, and like even in a weird situation where the stakes seem very high, he's in this sorcerer guy's face named Sardo something, calling him Numsy. He keeps
Yeah,
going.
my brother
Numsy. Like he's Shrek. He's the donkey walking around.
It's my brother Numsy.
But here's the thing, like
Yeah. I'm
Eddie
Chandler
Murphy
Gerald
also
Stolen
had the
Artifacts
believability.
Foundation.
Eddie
What is
Murphy
his
had the
name? Chandler
believability of an
Starlight?
action star too. Like
Yeah.
Eddie
What's that,
Murphy, you
Mickey?
could see like this guy can kick some ass too. He's
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah, he does
but
fight
can
in
kick
this.
some
Yeah,
ass.
he
This
actually
is
has
one
a
of the
little
only movies
fisticuffs
he
in
was
this
really
movie.
he's beating people up. He's fucking
Yeah,
punching people
does
in
a
the
little
face.
karate
That's
move.
not much
And
of an Eddie Murphy
one of-
thing. Like he doesn't do a whole lot.
Yeah,
of that.
no.
One of my favorite Eddie Murphy stories is it's a Beverly Hills Cop story, but I'll tie it into Golden Child in a sec. Just bear with me for a sec. But in Beverly Hills Cop, there's a scene where he's getting out of his car in front of the hotel, and he goes to the valet, and he goes, "Hey, man, be careful with my car, because all this shit happened to it last time I parked here." And it wasn't in the script, and he's just like, you know what? I feel like we need another joke here. We need another beat here. And like he was really good at knowing when you needed another joke in there and being able to just pull one out of his ass and deliver. And there's a scene in that I feel like the
And that
same
probably
thing must
came
have
from
happened.
SNL. That came from being on SNL, probably.
Oh, for sure, yeah. But there's a scene that scene in this movie is where he jumps over the fence in the family's barbecue, and he's like, "I don't want, hey, it's okay. I just want some chips. Just want a chip. Just want some
So
chips.
weird.
Turn it over.
Just
Burn
one
it.
chip.
It's burning.
Just
It's
one
burning.
chip.
Turn it over. You know,
Yeah,
it's fucking brilliant. Like just totally, that is definitively chewing the scenery.
Yeah.
Well, you
For
could tell the
sure,
difference, right? Like you could super tell the difference of when Eddie Murphy's Eddie Murphying in this and not and going off script, because the script itself is like.
But
Listen to the
but
script
Steve
itself,
hits it
it's
right
great.
there. If
The
your
greats
name
do
becomes a
that.
verb, then you're
Right.
doing
Yeah.
something right.
Then
You
you're
know what
doing
I
something
mean?
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
The,
I mean,
you know,
like
initial like
Bill
I
Murray
try-
is like known to do that all the time.
Yeah.
Of course.
Here's the thing, though. Bill Murray, like, I feel like maybe a lot of this gets into the scripts that you choose. They certainly weren't asking Bill Murray to ever be fucking Axel Foley or, Chandler Gerald.
No.
But, I feel like he's got a lot more missteps in his run
Well, Chris,
than
here you go.
Eddie Murphy.
I'll hit one for you right here. Eddie
Razor's
Murphy
Edge?
turned down a role in Star Trek 4 in order to make this film. Both were released the same day, and the teaser for this film was shown before Star Trek. So it's like,
Yeah.
no matter what, he was in a movie that was coming out that weekend either way.
Right.
And I think he
Yeah.
made the right choice. We like this
Who would
movie.
Eddie Murphy have
We
played in
accept the
Star
problems
Trek?
in this movie,
Star
but
Trek
I don't
is
want
He's a-
Eddie Murphy
he's-
in Star Trek. No.
He
He's
is
so
a big
like,
Star Trek fan.
Really? Star Trek is so
Yeah.
self-serious though. Like I can't
So
imagine. Eddie
Quentin
Murphy-
Tarantino's a big fan too. He shouldn't do one. He shouldn't do
Right.
it.
Exactly. Thank you.
That's a good point.
Thank
Thank
you. I'm sick of this. Like, Danny McBride's a Halloween fan. Let's let him fucking butcher the
Fun,
franchise. Like,
I saw the new
fuck that
Exorcist.
shit.
I wished I watched The First Omen, which has our buddy
Yeah.
here, Charles Dance, and I did
Yeah.
not. And I watched the new Exorcist, which was bad, and it
Yeah,
sucks
it's
because
bad.
my buddy makes a cameo in it, and I really want to like it. It's
Oh,
that's
man.
yeah, that's rough,
That's
dude.
crazy. That's crazy.
I was trying to go back in my head canon with movies, and I was trying to think of different movies that just give you that whole like The Chosen One, like horse shit. There's a million of them, and this is the only
the
one
first, yeah.
that I can think of where they literally give you nothing. Nothing. She literally shows up and goes, "Hey, you're the chosen one," and he goes, "Okay."
Yeah.
And
So
that's
it's an
it.
interesting
and then for
point.
the rest of the movie, he's just the fucking and nothing ever comes up about it again. It doesn't matter.
The script writing is
Nothing
lazy. They don't do any
yeah.
heavy lifting in the script at all. There's nothing that's like, oh, the chosen. Like, even I was making this comparison when we were watching it. Even the first movie of Buffy the Vampire Slayer has like something. It's like the mark. You bear
I
the
love
mark.
that
Remember
movie.
hairy
I
mark?
love that movie.
got that
Donald
removed.
Sutherland,
Yeah.
R.I.P.
Yeah. Oh, great. Yeah. But they have something.
Perry.
And every
R.I.P.
step of this
Yep.
movie, through adult eyes, every step of this movie just needs a little something more.
Yeah,
And it could have been
it's-
Beverly
it's-
Hills Cop.
it's
Like,
not
they get to the mansion,
right.
they get to the guy's
Yeah.
house at the end. They need like one or two or even three more little scenes there. It's a house of horrors. It's a haunted house,
But
It's
that's
too
going
in
to
and out, and
happen.
they-
That's going to
you know,
happen when they only completed some of the VFX days before the premiere on December 11th in New York, and they had everything.
and it looks
So this movie
it
like
looks
came
pretty good
down to the
considering.
wire at the last minute just to get it out, and it was a hit. And there are elements of it. We get Eddie, we get a lot of Eddie, we get some first fantasy film. It is listed as a fantasy film, and I don't want to like argue that, but
Yeah.
that's kind of how it's listed. And I mean, the guy transforms into this crazy demon thing and chases him across the land. Like this shit was wild.
I would have
I'm like,
loved to have been in a theater watching this movie with hardcore Eddie Murphy fans, when you get
Like,
a fucking
what is
demon
going on?
come out. You're like,
Because you know what?
like,
Eddie makes it work because he's like, my brother. Oh, you're busy right now. I'll come back a little later.
yeah,
Like,
he's
perfect.
great.
but this is
And
what I'm saying.
honestly,
This-
Mickey,
this movie is so good.
I'm gonna hit where it hurts because it's just like our SNL thing from last time. We were saying, "Oh, we should get an Upper Man from Sandler." Here, we never got a butt wheat from Eddie Murphy or a Gumby movie from Eddie Murphy, but we got this
A Gumby movie would have been
Yeah.
great.
Oh,
Gumby
gosh.
movie
I
was
would.
like-
You know what? I would have been okay with the buckwheat movie too. Not
Oh,
gonna
totally.
Lie. But,
I mean, not now, no, but
Or
no.
a Velvet
Oh,
Jones movie. A Velvet
yeah,
Jones
yeah.
movie would have been good too.
Oh God.
Chris, you're
yeah,
the whitest
or-
person on this panel. Just so you know.
Eddie Murphy,
By-
Eddie
yeah,
Murphy,
by a
James
mile.
Brown movie though. An Eddie Murphy, James Brown movie. I'm game for that.
Oh, for
But anyway,
sure.
Oh, yeah.
I do want to touch on the chat. I see Kyle 2.0 says, I'm interested in ghosts and dads. What is that about?
Don't
There's a
ask.
ghost dad. There's a whole ghost
Ghost
dad
dad.
sub chat going on now.
Nice. There should
and-
be because we can't
There
talk about it
should
on
be, yeah.
here.
I see Rand in the chat. The Golden Child, another 48 hours. Big Trouble in Little China, the dancing Pepsi can. So there's a lot of love, I think, references there. Matt
I can't
Sharp,
believe you hit
again,
the Pepsi
mashup-
can. That's Industrial Light Magic. That's the
Wow.
Roger Rabbit shit.
So Matt
looks
Sharp,
great, too.
again, the
It
mashup,
looks so
the
good.
mashup
It's like
genius.
Pixar.
The Mashup Genius, Matt Sharp, with the super chat. Thank you so much for the super chat, brother. Again, if you guys don't know, Matt Sharp does awesome movie poster mashups and graphics on Facebook, Instagram. Don't be missing out on that. So thank you so much again. Oh, 2 super chats. Good Lord, man. Thank you so much for the Golden Child love. I'm gonna retire in style. So before we get
Stay
before
on
we
the
get to the
path.
sequels, yeah, before we get to the sequels, is there like anything particularly about this movie that is like a favorite or a least favorite aspect of it?
I'm gonna go and
There
say
isn't
that
any
this
least
is-
like for me. Like
Yeah,
I literally like I can watch this movie and like I know some people like to watch movies and like like they watch it over time and then they just start to pick it apart, whatever the case may be. This is one of those movies that I just love. That like I just like just throw it on. Just
Yeah.
throw it on and just be in the magic. Be in
I
the
only
magic.
watched it. I only watched it recently with a critical eye because for this show,
Yeah.
and like
Yeah, yeah.
and before that,
As
I
you
never
should.
thought. Yeah, I never watched it. Every other time I ever watched it, I was just like, love it. I love everything about it. Love whatever. And the only time I'm bringing up the script and the whatever is because I watched it the other day for the show, trying to think of critical things to to pick it apart a little bit, which I never would normally. It's a fantastic movie in general. Whatever, it's a great time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the one statement that I've like said to other people is just like it's fun, it's
Mhm.
Eddie, and it's got a big ending. Like it.
Yeah.
Does it have a third act? Does it make sense? Is it whatever? No.
So
No.
so
I
no,
mean,
it
what
doesn't-
are we, equivalent about the drapes in the background of that one?
Yeah.
thing?
Yeah.
Who
Yeah.
needs,
It does-
let's
3
get into
acts?
this,
The ending's really great until again, this is the critical part or whatever. The ending's really great until it's not. And
Yeah,
then
until it's not.
it is a little bit of that speaking of that other YouTube channel, the better YouTube channel, super easy, barely an inconvenient, that kind of ending. If you guys ever see that. But
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
the,
it just kind of farts at the end, but
but
I
other
mean,
A
than
little
that,
bit.
though,
A little bit.
it's Eddie though. I mean, the thing that surprised me is like, oh, explosions and you stab, all this stuff happens, and then you turn around and it's just like L.A. It's or wherever. Like it's just like L.A. or something. And I was kind of like, aren't you somewhere a little more remote or like in the desert or like? By the time I kind of totally forgot where we even were, geographically, and it didn't matter really.
well, this movie's all shot. The last thing I'll say about it before we go to the whatever. This movie is mostly shot in. I couldn't notice this in close-ups and like
Shot
real-
on film,
real-
which is fun.
It's real
On film.
tight, you know what I mean? Except for like big establishing shots here and there, it's shot in like these real tight fucking oneers or
Yeah.
whatever. Like,
Yeah.
and it kind of doesn't give you an idea of scale or where you are or who's where in any parts of it. Like it's a lot of that.
Yeah.
Other than that,
Yeah,
Things
I mean,
felt-
we
yeah,
mentioned it,
the-
but like that, you kind of see maybe why John Carpenter passed and went to Big Trouble in Little China because that movie makes a lot of sense and has some big action sequences and like.
Well,
really-
here's an interesting thing.
Yeah.
I want to get into this before we wrap it up and move on. This movie and Big Trouble in Little China, maybe, although I guess Beat Street and Breakin' did this before. but this is one of the early examples of two movies with very similar themes coming out, racing against the
Happens all
clock
the
to
time.
beat each other.
Yeah.
To beat, Deep Impact, Armageddon,
Observe and
White House is
report and
down.
Mall Cop. Yeah. All the disaster
White House is
movies.
down, Olympus
Yeah.
has fallen.
Wow.
We've seen this a billion times now.
That was the best example.
You like that one?
Observe
Because
and
Observe and
Report,
Report is a
Mall Cop.
weird movie. It's a weird movie.
Yeah.
And Paul Blart is so dumb.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was good.
Both great movies,
But-
though. Both great movies.
Oh, I don't know, Mickey. I don't really like it.
I love Paul Blart.
He's
I love
creepy
Mall
as
Cop,
hell in that movie. He's so creepy.
and I love Observe and Report too.
All right.
Weird. I like it.
Weird, wild stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Chris. What were you saying?
Look you.
I got lost somewhere between Milo and Otis and
Must have
Homeward
got
Bound
lost.
and their competition for each other. But no, so I guess the question is for each of you: are you more of a Big Trouble or more of a Golden Child? Because I'll be honest, I prefer the Golden Child.
I'll take this.
think
I know that.
Eddie Murphy in Golden Child is so good that he, Kurt Russell in Big Trouble. It's
See,
a weird.
this is where we
I love the
disagree.
movie,
I
but
know
it's
we
a
disagree
weird
with
choice.
this.
The John Wayne thing is so
I
weird
think-
for me.
I think that movie is Kurt Rustling the fuck around.
Wow,
It's
another
hard to do
verb. Yeah.
Yep, huh?
Yeah.
I love him in that movie. I think he's
Yeah.
fantastic. I love the fact that he's not actually your main character. And I love the fact that he just gets his ass kicked through the entire thing, even though he comes
And
off.
Chris, I just think overall that movie's set up better and has like a complete story and makes
Oh,
sense and
yeah.
the motivations and the pathos
It's
and all that other shit.
it may be a better movie, but I'll still watch The Golden Child before I watch that one.
Yeah, see, to me, the Golden Child, easy, is simple to understand. Big Trouble. I've seen it a bunch of times. I still can't really follow it all. It's still very like, oh, we need the girl with the green eyes, and this guy's got the lightning, but the thing, and then he can't. There's a beast, and there's like a lot that's just like I can't even keep up with.
So,
Big
Steve,
Trouble.
it seems like it's an
Fucking
intellectual
chaos.
thing. Like
I think so too. Yeah, no, right. I would have to agree.
I'm not slamming it. I like the movie.
Eddie's
I love Big
lowbrow.
Trouble.
Eddie's lowbrow. He's from the hood.
I used to say,
maybe it is, maybe
I
it is.
like stupid and I like it often. So
It's
I know,
funny
I
though,
know,
Mickey.
Mickey.
You really don't like SNL at all, but you love some of these guys. That's a conundrum for me, but I like it. I like it.
there are exceptions to the rule. I mean, Eddie Murphy is always an exception.
Yeah.
And and
even now, yeah.
I never watched Eddie Murphy on SNL. Like the first time my introduction to Eddie was Delirious.
Okay.
So that was really like I did Delirious and then I did the movies.
Yeah.
But I
mean,
never
that's-
did
that-
SNL because I
that
never really
stand-up
watched
special-
SNL. And it was
I think
only
that's
till
a special
later.
from that time that still holds up. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I watched later, I had like I think I got like the best of Eddie Murphy on VHS or whatever I did, like from SNL.
That tape is
That
why
tape.
we got
It's a
the
good
best
tape.
of everybody else, the best of Phil Hartman,
Yep.
the best of John Lovitz, the best of because that fucking
Yep.
Eddie Murphy tape. Everyone in
Oh,
my
yeah,
family
all
had
the
that tape.
SNLs,
My
yeah,
uncle,
yeah,
my
yeah.
grandma, my fucking grandparents had that tape. Like
It's the
every house
best.
in America had that tape, and that tape, I guarantee you, is also why we got that beautiful Time Life set in the '90s, where they would send you like the best of '75, the best of '76, the best of you
Yeah.
know. I'll tell you what,
But
if
they
I
did
ever
it all.
Chris,
Yeah,
I
Will
thought a phone
Ferrell
number
did
was going to pop
everybody.
up on the bottom to buy it.
If I
Like,
ever
beautiful gift for
fucking-
your family for the future.
If I
Time
fucking
Life.
ever make real money in my life, I am buying that whole Time Life set and
Time
digitizing
Life?
it so I can. Cause it's
Oh,
like,
for
oh,
sure.
just to have the best of '85 again, the Ronald Reagan Jr. episode.
Oh.
The nostalgia in me needs that so.
You're
fucking
freaking out
good.
over there. Freaking out.
That Back to the Future parody was fire. But anyway, getting back to the chat, there's some pitches in there, so it's a great place to start. Gold's Code, the great Sean Gold says, no Ian, no annoying pitch, no dice. Dustin, I give you Golden Born. Do with it what you will. So technically, he keeps his streak alive with Golden Born, but it's a title-only pitch, so we'll have to imagine just how the Ajanti dagger makes its way
Wow,
to
so he
Cincinnati.
really does just pitch at Ian.
Ian, yeah.
He kind of just does it to annoy Ian.
It's a weaponized like love language.
Only the airborne dagger can kill Ian if he's surrounded by four
Air will
sides.
make
of
him
idiocy.
explode. His beard will explode.
We unfortunately didn't have Dokken play the soundtrack to this one, but we did
No,
have
it was
Rat.
Rat.
So...
Yeah.
If Dokken did Body Talk, it would be great. I love Rat though. Rat, if you listen
love
to
Rat.
and I'm not knocking Rat, but their albums always sound a little bit cheaper than all the other '80s hair band albums.
Rat-
they didn't
is
have the
Rat who
recording
they're-
budget.
Is Rat who they're watching and when he goes to take on those bikers?
Yeah.
And the
Oh,
video
yeah.
in the living room? That's
But
right.
there's
Yeah.
another
The video-
song which I don't know that the trivia said. It's "Love Goes On" by Ashford and Simpson was featured on the Billboard charts because of this movie. Like I don't.
Oh,
Love
Ashford
Goes
and
On.
Ashford and
Simpson did that
Simpson.
song "Solid as a Rock." That's them.
Solid as rock. Yep.
Solid
They were fire.
as a
They were
rock.
fire.
Yeah, that's pretty
That's
good.
some
yeah.
Chris Mickey deep cut shit. The two of you.
That is
Yes,
some
I mean,
Chris
that's-
Mickey and Living.
It
Right.
can be musical, will be intellectual. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Hey, fine. All right. You know what? Hey, does this
Chunky
shirt look
asses.
like a-
Your taste in
Do I
terrible
dress-
music can rival our taste in good movies.
Do I dress like a fucking intellectual here? So, in
You're
addition,
like somebody's
in addition-
uncle who got lost and wandered into a
Once
sound
again, out loud. Yeah. Wandered in off the beach.
Yeah.
You got that
I was
golden
looking for the
child?
bar.
I'm gonna watch that right now.
So if I can get back to the chat.
Yeah, I knew we
in
had to do
addition to all the-
something.
In addition to the ghost dad, in addition to all the ghost dad love in the chat, there is a pitch from the great Alex Bonafonte. He says Murphy is back to stop a slap fighting cannibal who preys upon the potential reincarnations of or like the Dalai Lama or some shit. It's Steven Seagal and deep fry the children until golden brown. Get it? Because Seagal wants to be the Dalai Lama. Wow. Disclaimer: the views expressed in chat are not those of VCR Redux,
They're
Fandom,
not.
Spotlite, YouTube,
Or of Mike
Steven
Ritchie,
Seagal,
or of Mickey Torres, or of Stephen
or
Anderson.
the-
But
or
I
the
got one for you, Chris.
1984 Miami Dolphins. All
I
right,
like
all
the
right, you
pitch,
got a
but I
pitch.
got to give you something right now because of what you just said, because you popped the top off Steven Seagal. The house that Eddie Murphy stays in after his return from Nepal with the dagger is the same house that Steven Seagal uses in Hard to Kill 1990 to recuperate from his coma.
That's not. There's another movie that uses that
Really?
house. There's another movie that uses that
That's
house.
funny.
I can't remember what it was, but I remember seeing it recently and instantly jumping out of my seat. That's the house from fucking Hard to Kill. That's,
It's Steven
another
Seagal's
thing.
house.
If I is that really Steven
No,
Seagal's house?
no.
Oh.
For that
I was
moment
gonna-
when
if
he's
I-
recovering from his coma. And I know the chat is going crazy and it should be, Golden Child Hard to Kill or Kill the Golden Child or something. Steven Seagal versus Eddie Murphy in Golden Child 2, the same house.
So this falls into the pitch line too. I don't know, Chris, if you had to get back to the chat, but this I've been
Yeah.
hearing. This isn't my pitch. This is something that I've been hearing on whatever various movie podcasts and crap
Yeah.
like that and whatever. I want to see what your guys' thoughts are about it. I mentioned it to Chris. He looked at me like I had fucking 6 heads.
You do.
People,
but yeah.
people are I do. People are clamoring for apparently a Bad Boys of Beverly Hills.
Oh,
So it would be the mix of because they just did Bad Boys 4, they just did Beverly Hills Cop 4. So it would be the 5th one would be the mix of the
No.
two. No, I'm agreeing with you on that. Absolutely.
Mainly
not.
because in real life, and I don't look. I'm not.
Mickey's like
but,
maybe.
Martin Lawrence can't even really walk real well, so you can't.
Yeah, no,
And
Yeah.
I mean,
those
they-
guys are there because of him. No. But the new Beverly, look, if no one hasn't seen it, the new Beverly Hills Cop is good. Like Eddie's on his game,
Yeah.
they did a good job. If you like Beverly, we all
Yeah.
like the new Beverly Hills Cop. We don't want to spoil it for you, so we won't. But go see it. Eddie's on his game. Look, they're gonna make Golden Child 2 in a couple years, definitely. So we're on top of it.
I fucking
here's
hope
the
so.
thing.
Is
Buddy
Charles
cop
Dan still
movies-
alive?
Who?
Yeah, I
Was
think he was
he?
on Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
Charles
yeah,
Dance?
Game of Thrones.
Yes,
yeah.
he was in Game of Thrones. Yeah.
Michael Ritchie
Yeah.
is not. I mean, I'm alive, but the Michael Ritchie who directed this is not alive. We lost him.
Well, maybe John.
Yeah,
Well, we
Carpenter
got
can
we
direct
got
it
the we
now.
got the real one here, so
Yeah.
we're good.
But
We got
that
what
new
we got.
the
Beverly
good
Hills
one.
Cop, they gave it to a guy who hadn't even done anything. So like Eddie can work with directors too. Like I don't know. I mean, I don't. We're not like in the age of the megastar still or whatever that is, but Eddie still carries the movie, and those other guys
Sure.
are old. So the guy who plays Taggart is old. He's so old.
Oh,
Chris tried to
sure.
gaslight me into believing that wasn't Randall Cobb in this movie. which I
Oh
didn't
wow,
appreciate.
Steve, you're so proud of yourf. You learned his fucking name, Randall.
No, he
I
just
did. I
told you
figured
he
out
was
his name.
gaslighting.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
tried to. Yeah, he tried to tell me I was way off, and I'm like,
I was
really?
I
wrong.
didn't think it was
damn
Randall
it, I
Cobb
was
at
wrong.
first, but shout out to the Monkey Man too. The Monkey guy in this is really great. And some other weird things that I love. Ooh, there's a good pitch in the chat from the great Alex Bonafonte. His pitch is Troop Beverly Hills Cop. So I'm in favor.
Like Troop
of that.
Beverly
It has
Hills?
nothing
Oh,
to do
that's
with the
not bad.
Golden
It's
Child.
nothing
but
to do
okay.
with Golden Child, but it's an Eddie Murphy pitch,
See?
so I felt like I wanted to read it.
I do like
an
where they're
old-
going, and they just inspired me. And yes, I'm gonna go Beverly Hills Ninja with Golden Child 2, and a ghost of Chris Farley CGI shows up and does some stuff. Yes, let's do that.
All right,
Do that.
that's good. I like that.
it.
Also
Yeah.
in the chat, from Matt Sharp, the Mashup Genius, because of the house being the same, he says, "Do hard to kill the golden child," and it ties into what Alex Bonafonte
Yes!
was saying about the Steven
Yes!
Seagal pitch. So this may be the best Steven Seagal pitch we've had.
Dude, I
because
handed
it's
the baton
teamwork.
and he
You
took
and
it
Alex,
into the chat. Yes, definitely. Yes.
Yes, I love it. Definite Sato
I
Newsy
mean, that would be
vibes.
kind of funny to see, Eddie Murphy and Steven Seagal go back and forth. You can make it a buddy cop thing too.
The problem,
The
though,
Golden
Nick,
Child
is the problem is that Eddie is as old as he is. He just doesn't look it, and Steven Seagal's like even older in Steven Seagal years. And Steven Seagal is not a verb. I don't think you don't. Steven.
No.
Well, maybe he is,
Well,
but I don't want
you-
Steven Seagal to be a verb.
But I mean, obviously, like Seagal is, not forgetting about the horrible shit he's probably done in real life.
Yeah, outside of
I
movies.
don't
Yeah,
know the
let's put that
particulars
away.
about-
Yeah.
But forgetting about that for a sec, you just at face value, like the idea of Eddie Murphy, Steven Seagal buddy cop team up is actually perfect.
Yeah,
Because
it's not bad.
here you have two guys that have decade-long movie careers, right? One of them, like completely sustained in the 90s, 2000s. He's still making hits. That's Eddie Murphy. Another one just like every decade it gets
burned.
worse.
Yeah.
And
The
more
The only
direct-to-video
problem
crash and
becomes,
burn.
Chris, is it's the same problem since the beginning of time. Would they do Steven Seagal or Jean-Claude Van Damme in that situation? And I would want Jean-Claude Van Damme. So I don't know.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, of
probably
course,
be
that's
better,
the buddy cop
better to
movie,
work
yeah.
with.
Oh yeah, I think
Yeah,
Eddie and
right,
him
maybe.
and Jean-Claude's doing splits over there and showing off his abs
But the
and
problem
stuff, and
is,
Eddie's
from
telling
a
jokes.
point, so here's my problem with that, and I love Van Damme. He's totally my guy. Like he's my guy. Like I love Van Damme. Van Damme all the way. But Van Damme is actually kind of charming. That was part of his thing. He
Yeah.
was like a charming guy.
He had
like,
locks.
he played the charm. He's a very pretty face. He's like a model. He's a dancer. He's fucking charming. He does the
He's
splits.
foreign.
You
Yeah.
know.
Do you think they're both
Right? He's got
too
the French
charming?
accent. So
no,
no, the
Steven
problem
Seagal's not
here's the thing.
charming.
No. I'm
Steven
saying
Seagal is the opposite of charming, but
Yeah,
Eddie
opposite.
Murphy is fucking charming as fuck. So you need
So
two guys who are
charming. Yeah, I
opposite
see what
from
you
each
mean.
other.
I see what you
That's
mean.
why Murphy and Seagal
Yeah.
would be a great pair because
now-
Steven Seagal is the least charming fucking guy.
Yeah,
ever,
Arnold doesn't
and
work
Eddie
there
Murphy-
either because it's too much
In-
of the personalities. Yeah.
in reality,
Yeah.
what would be a perfect fit and what would really work for these sequels, and I've been pitching this for fucking 20 years now, is I loved this and Big Trouble so much. And the fact that they both fall into like such a similar wheelhouse and world
Yep.
that the sequel that would fix what was wrong
Big Trouble with the Golden Child. Yeah,
Big
yeah,
Trouble
yeah.
and with the and the two of them
And you bring the cultures, the Nepalese
cultures
and the
together,
Chinese, and they're fighting each
And
other.
you have
That's
Kurt
pretty
Russell
good.
and Eddie Murphy, and their weird juxtaposition of Kurt Russell just being like a loudmouth fucking getting
With
his
the
ass
big
kicked
guns,
the whole
yeah.
time. Yeah, and Eddie Murphy actually carrying this. You know what I mean? Like the two of them, I think would be
Yeah.
a great team up.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
like that. That's the movie I've always
It
wanted.
would reinvigorate both
Yeah.
franchises and make it
Yep.
even bigger in like a weird Avengers matchup of 80s fantasy mystical Asian movies. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
the team up we need. You let Kurt Russell be a little bit more Riggs,
Yep.
and you just let Eddie Murphy be fucking Eddie Murphy, and
I
it's
do
fantastic.
love the spin-off we come up with of just House, which is the house where Eddie Murphy does his stuff and Seagal does his stuff and all the stuff happens at the house. I do like that.
Yeah, that is
It's
kind
weird-
of.
it's
I
weird
gotta
though,
say,
Seagal has to be shot from the chest up in every scene now that he does, and it's all just him.
No,
chop
I don't want
fighting
any of
people.
that. I give
No,
you
I mean,
one other
that's
thing.
how
I
that's the
see.
only
If
way
he
he'll
did-
be in shit.
The cool thing is if you did the Big Trouble in Little China crossover kind of thing, you could make it kind of like the dream sequence. Like remember the dream sequence in
I
Golden
love those dream
Child?
Or the
sequences, yeah.
astral plane or whatever you want to call
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
So deep Chris memory now. This movie is my first like understanding of what I guess I would later learn to become called lucid dreaming.
Astral
So
projection.
the idea that you would be conscious that you were dreaming while you were dreaming, And this movie put the thought in my brain, and I became obsessed with it as a toddler. And I used to literally go to sleep in my little fucking kid bed and say, "Remember to say you're dreaming when you're dreaming. Remember to say you're dreaming when you're dreaming. Remember to say." I would just repeat that over and over and over in my head until it took me like 3 or 4 nights, but eventually I did it. I was dreaming.
And then later in life, when you saw the movie Inception, you were like, "I was right. I was right. I was right."
That's right. That's correct.
I was doing it wrong.
No, you're totally right. That's a real thing. If one thing in your dreams is like you can't tell time and you can't read. So anytime you look at a clock in your dream or you think you're reading in your dream, you're just imagining it, or it's something you've consumed previously, like a text that you've read. And one time when I was a kid, it was like so late. It was the latest that it could be. I don't know what that is. And the clock read like R30. And I was like, what is R30? And then as an adult later, I was like, it's just 3:30 at night, and it just goes to the next day. It's not like 8 a.m. the next morning is the latest. But as a kid, you don't think about 3:30 in the morning.
You think of it,
You don't think about what you could be doing or what someone would be doing at 3:30 in the morning.
That's
But more to the point, in your dreams, you can't ever read anything. So if you are reading, and in your mind, you should be like, if I'm dreaming, I can't read, so what's going on? And then you can figure it out. And usually what happens when someone does do that they're in their dreams and they figure it out, is you instantly are flying everywhere, because that's what everybody always wants to do.
Really?
It's
cool.
I kind of vaguely remember flying in my dream, honestly.
There you go. Look at that.
The only lucid dream I ever fucking had in my life.
VCR Redux.
But I remember, because you're 3 years old, 4 years old, what do you think? What do you want to do? I want to fly. That's the only thing you could think to do. You know what I mean? You're not like, I'm going to be, this or that. I'm going to have a lightsaber. I'm going to fly.
Chris, I know it's not my job to read the chat, but Matthew.
There are some pitches, yes.
Let's do it.
Let's cast Chris as the Golden Stiles, and I really like that.
Oh my God, did I see that? Oh my God, I didn't even catch that part. I saw Let's Cast somewhere else. That's
oh my God,
the Golden Styles.
The Golden Chris
The
Stiles.
Golden Styles. Now there's
I'm done reading the chat. That's not for me.
I got the
I
stupid
don't know,
hat
Steve.
and everything.
I think that's a segment. Steve reads the chat.
Steve reads the chat.
So,
because you don't like it, and I could tell you don't like it, but you did it anyway.
This chat is literally for all of you.
Matt Sharp, the genius, again, strikes again. But there are some more pitches in there. Kyle 2.0 says his pitch, knowing nothing about this movie outside of listening to some of my favorite nerds, a child is born with golden skin on roller skates that needs to get down with some preps in Ohio or something. There's Goldenborn on my end. So says Kyle 2.0. Well, Sean Gold, be careful what you wish for, my friend, because you want Goldenborn, you get Goldenborn. I don't know how they can cram all that golden and still leave room for the born, but they did it. Somehow they did it.
Somehow also you can bring Nepal to Ohio,
Even Nepal. This man, he trained under your eye, because I could see he got the same glare in his eye as you. One of my
Cincinnati
favorite
and
lines.
Nepal aren't too far away.
No, very similar culturally.
There's
in the dream world. In the dream world.
Just a quick yak ride,
The golden airborne inception. We're tying it all in. But also in the chat, Rand pitches Golden Child 2, House of Setting Sun. The 3 dragons live on the other side of the backyard and come to help the golden teen with his probable cause by Steven Seagal and is in the other room. As all this is going on, Arnold Schwarzenegger telling this tale like the wizard in Conan did.
Oh my God.
That is like, just a cocaine fever dream of the 80s as a movie. And
didn't Arnold do some movie like that with Jackie Chan like 5-6 years ago or something? Some weird not the Iron Mask, but something like that.
God, I think you're
there were some movies they jammed Arnold in there lately, and I was like, what?
I feel like that was a thing that's really ringing a fucking bell. Maybe the
I
Mandela
remember
effect,
is
but I don't
Arnold
know.
really with almost like Zuniga a few weeks ago with the mustache and almost like a Captain Crunch type outfit where he's like a sea captain, and it's like Jackie Chan. I almost watched it and then I was like, nah, I don't think I'll watch that.
I think this is real. I think this is. Yeah. So if you're Google handy or IMDb ready in the chat, let us know. But another pitch in the chat though, Whiskey41, the great Alex Bonfante, his pitch: Dewey Cox teams up with a hitman to stop a fake cop, puppy murdering, bad musician, and walk hard to kill them softly. Wow, I did not see the triple level mashup
before and after on Jeopardy. Yeah.
The big
you're getting schooled. You're getting schooled with the mashups in this.
Totally.
I am, yeah. Seriously, I better retire now. Shit.
He's
The
too
Golden
busy
Styles,
unlocking
though.
core childhood memories. That's all.
I am, yeah. That's literally what's happening.
He's
This whole,
rocked
that's
right
why
now.
with this
He's
show.
emotionally rocked.
Yes, I'm in like a fucking phantom state of like sharp televisions and Toshiba VCRs and cabinet closets full of tapes and the
You're basically
variant
the
covers
lawnmower
of,
man or something, right?
yeah, like the variant covers of Carrie in different video stores flashing through my eyes right now. Good Lord. Getting back to Golden Child. I love the Golden Styles. I'm ready to go right now.
Yeah, that's good.
in a
Yeah, that's
golden-
good.
I
For
would,
sure.
I'd take, just, I'm ready. Cast me. Why not?
I mean,
I don't
my
know.
simplest pitch was just keep going with what works, and it's just more of Eddie finding kids, and the other kid, it's something else. It's the kid from Neverending Story, or it's the kid from Peter Pan, or it's the kid from some other random fantasy Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
Probably
Whatever.
like, at this point, the Golden Child probably trains other kids to be this way. So maybe it's one of her, or one of his pupils.
See, I still
It's a
think
remake.
it's more, for me, it's more about finding the next Golden Child that will save the world, and then
Well,
Eddie's the guy to do it. And that's
The
what I
pupil
want.
of the original Golden Child could be that next.
That's
Yeah, that's
true.
You
true.
can only
There
be
could
the
a next
Golden Child for
that-
so long.
From the new threat.
Right.
You grow up.
That's a good point. Yeah.
You do grow up.
What?
So you're no longer a child.
The Golden Man. He's just
Someone said that in the chat, the Golden Teen. I thought that
The
was
Golden
funny.
Teen.
Yeah.
What
Like the golden
if we did?
Post
You're not my
millennial,
dad.
whatever. Yeah.
yeah.
What if we did a kids sports comedy though, with all the like supernaturally kids of the era, right? Like you've
Like
got
Ladybugs?
Elliot
I'm
with
back
some,
on.
you've got like Elliot with some ET powers, right? Kind of
Yeah.
Ladybugs. You've got the girl.
Drew
from Small
Barrymore's
Wonder,
there too.
You know,
Yeah, little Drew
yeah,
Barrymore.
why not?
Well, yeah,
Fire
you've got
starter.
Yeah.
Firestar. Oh yeah, exactly.
Macaulay
well,
Culkin should be there.
the kid from Flight of the Navigator.
From
you
The Good
know,
Son.
Yep.
The Good Son. Oh my
Yeah,
god.
he's just fucking murdering the people.
Yeah, oh, Elijah Wood could be there. Yeah.
From North, yes, with his
From North. Yeah. He's kind of magical.
He is kind of magical. He travels the globe, and he gets to hang with many variants of Bruce Willis. That's the childhood we all.
That's
all
your
wanted for ourselves.
buzzword tonight. All the variants. That's your thing.
Yeah.
I am using the word way too much, aren't I? Yeah.
The kid
I'm
from
gonna
The
have to
Omen?
What'd you
The
say?
girl from The Exorcist.
Kid
They
from
all
The
team
Omen?
up.
No, that was
Oh,
my
the kid from Rookie of the
corollary.
Year. The kid from Rookie of the Year. Who could
Oh,
do
right.
the,
I was
Thomas
saying,
Ian Nicholas.
I saw the new Exorcist, and I shouldn't have. I should have watched the new Omen, which has our guy Charles Dance, and so.
Oh, and Daryl.
I wanna
the
watch
kid,
that. I haven't seen it yet.
Daryl from
Oh,
the
yeah.
that 80s
There you go. You're
movie,
still
Michael
going with
McKean.
these kids.
Yeah, the super kids. I want the Airbud.
I like how
movie
some
with
of them
all
are
these
supernatural evil beings. The other one just broke his arm and could kind of throw fast.
Yeah.
The only other thing I
kids.
bring
There's two
in, Chris,
Robo kids. Yeah.
two other things I might bring in is that technically Charles Dance was somewhere in Space Truckers, and I know you've talked about that movie. Could we
Is
bring
he really?
Oh,
Golden
Stuart
Child
Gordon,
Space
yeah.
Truckers, or
Wow.
that the writer, you asked earlier about something we don't like about this movie. I don't like this writer because he wrote not one, not two, not three, but 4 Species movies. He went past the trilogy to a 4th
Yeah,
Species
really?
movie. And those movies to me are so gross and so disgusting. I can't watch those with sex and aliens and the stuff.
I like the
this,
first 3.
is this
I know
Dennis
the
Feldman?
first one's good, but they get
I like-
disgusting. Like the Wishmaster movies are like that for me. They get so gross.
Yeah, they do. They get a little
Is this
crazy.
Dennis
that I
Feldman?
can't.
Mickey, I thought for sure you were going to say I like the first one. I didn't think you were going to say I like the first 3.
I do.
Species?
I
The
do.
first 3.
Nobody likes the
But-
first.
but,
the
Chris-
first one's good. I like that,
Chris, you.
Uh,
What's the other thing he did immediately before this movie? The only movie he made before this movie, this writer. Come on.
Is it Dennis Feldman you're talking about?
Just one of the guys.
Oh man, yeah.
You should have known
How
that,
he
Chris.
got this movie off of just one of the guys, I have no idea. I have no
I don't know, but I don't know how you can write something so fucking beautifully. Oh, you know why? Because Jeff Franklin co-wrote Just One of the Guys, and Jeff
There you go.
Franklin went off and made
I
a
knew you'd know
bajillion
something
dollars.
about that. You love that movie. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Well, Jeff Franklin, who also wrote Summer School and then went on to create Full House, which I love it or hate it, Full House made a lot of fucking money for Jeff Franklin.
Chris, I
so-
got it. Just
Yeah.
one of the Golden Children. There you go. There it is. Right there. It ends up being there are multiple
Actually-
children, and they did it in Golden Child. It's a little girl, and they say it's
Just
a little
one of the
boy, just
childs,
like
yeah.
Yes, it's the same thing.
Well, there it is. You figured it out.
You figured it
I
out,
like it.
dude.
You know what?
Right
Between
on the
that,
buzzer, too.
between that, the Super Kids pitch, and Steve's Big Trouble in Little Golden
We did
Child,
it.
I think we've
Mic drop.
got all these that we need.
No, seriously though, we
although-
talked about it. This is a little girl in this movie, and they specifically hid that it was a girl, and they didn't want to tell anybody, and whatever. And that's what just one of the guys is. That's what that is.
To be fair, tell that to the kid who had to wear a Felissa Rose mask and hang with his dick out at the end of sleepaway camp. You know, like, oh, this girl had to shave her head. Oh, terrible.
And you
know
want
what
to
I mean?
take all these little kids and put them in one movie together and just abuse them all? Like, come on.
Yeah. What happened to that fucking? What happened to that? Yeah, we never know what happened to the dick in sleepaway camp. The dick shot first.
You seem very focused on it, but
well, just because Felissa Rose has pointed the mystery out to me many times, but I'm also trying to get back to the chat because
that's
there
cool.
is
That's
another
a
pitch
tidbit.
there.
That's good.
There is another pitch of the chat, and it's a perfect way to end on Whiskey 41. Alex Bonafonte's final pitch: the golden child that you are not the father on an episode of Maury Povich. So that's I think right there. That's it.
Not Jerry.
Fire.
Oh man.
That's a wrap. That's a
That's
wrap.
it.
Fire. Mike drops there.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah, Maury steps in. He's a better host than all of us. Yeah.
That's true.
Oh well. I mean, he's the man.
He
But
is.
before we wrap it up,
I'll
is there
just
anything-
fade. I'll just fade away so you don't see me anymore.
Is there anything you guys have got coming up in the works you want to let the people at home know about before we say goodnight?
Yes. Actually, I had something kind of big today. I had talked to you guys about this show that I worked on. It was called Gladiator. It's still called American Sports Story. But FX announced all their stuff today, and they announced that it's premiering on September 17th. There's a poster. It looks awesome. And, not a ton more details because there's some other great stuff that if you saw that show, The Old Man, they're doing a sequel to that with Jeff Bridges and some other shows. But we have a date, September 17th. And I worked for almost a full year on that show because of strikes and other things. So it's kind of a big one for me. So check that out and give it views so I can work more,
Hell yeah. I'm really excited for this one. It's I think I hope I'm not saying this the wrong way, but I think if you enjoy American Crime Story, especially the People versus O.J. Simpson, I think you would love this. So
the only thing I would say, Chris, and not to humble pie or yuck my is something my niece says. There aren't really any names. The biggest names are that our main kid who plays Aaron Hernandez. He's from the newest Hunger Games, the new one. He does an excellent job. But the only other name you really find, or you wouldn't recognize the names, and that's the only big difference. It is just like Crime Story, like the OJ thing, but that was Cuba and John Travolta and a lot of big names. So that'll be a little
fair,
bit
but the non-names act circles around the names in People vs. OJ, and you figure that out. The guy playing Johnny Cochran and Sarah Paulson wasn't that much of a name back then.
Right, but they still killed it. Yeah.
But they fucking crushed it. The guy who plays Chris Darden fucking crushed it. But at any rate, talking on too much about the People vs. O.J. Simpson. And
but it should be good. So check it out. All the FX stuff is good,
Definitely.
and then catch it on Hulu.
Yeah.
If you have that.
Yeah, I think if you like Clipped as well, I mean, it's right up your alley.
Oh, it's totally with that. Yeah, totally.
Watch, it's amazing.
Sports as entertainment, dramatically. Yeah, definitely.
So, Steve, Mickey, anything going on in your corners of the world?
Mickey?
Nothing for me. I'm just trying to recoup from getting married.
Married.
I just want to congratulate Mickey
Yeah.
again. That's what I want to. I'll bide my time on that.
Let's see the ring. Can we see the ring at least? Come on.
Show us, guys.
Nice.
Gold.
Man, there it is,
A
folks.
big congrats to Mickey on getting married.
Hell
It was a
yeah.
lovely ceremony.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, I guess it's time for me to say that you Fandom fans might want to tune in next Wednesday at 9 p.m. when we sell car parts to the American working man for our Tommy Boy episode. As always, if you enjoyed this video, the best way to help is to smash that like button and leave a comment telling us what movie or TV franchise that you want us to cover on a future episode of VCR Redux. And since you're already doing that, you might as well go ahead and like, subscribe, and follow Crash Romeo, Fandom Spotlight, and Pop Culture Punk. Till then, back up those Betamax, rewind those Laserdiscs, and we'll see you at the movies.
Viva Nepal. Viva Nepal.